What you have now is a marination of sorts, and it's a grand marination because you see almost the presentation value of the tulingan wrapped with the lemongrass and with the garlic and lemongrass paste. So we're going to set that aside to simmer and allow the juices and the concentrations of flavor to infuse in the fish while we create the other part of our dish. So now you will need kangkong and onions, approximation of 1 cup of kangkong cooked. It's up to you if you want to use less than 1 cup, but we need to do a rough chop and just prepare the kangkong so it's in small fine shreds, almost like a very thin julienne. Because what it is, kangkong is actually very coarse in the mouth, and because we know that kangkong is our local version of spinach, I want to achieve that flavor and the component of eating a leafy green on the main dish. And just take its components and just chop roughly and thinly until it creates like this julienne and small bites. After I've chopped the kangkong to really fine shredded chops that you see right here, it's quite fine, I'm going to start with the mixture. So here we are with bananas. What we're going to do, we need to soak it and boil it through water and cook it through. So just like how you cook boiled bananas, we have boiling water, and I'm going to take the bananas and just put it inside hot boiling water. So it's going to take about 30-45 minutes to cook because we want it to cook through. You could use, the ideal recipe for this is actually carnasa or saba bananas. Plantain is also good. Plantain are the big, large green bananas that you find in other various superstores, but because we want you to actually do this at home, we're going to use the bananas that you find in the local markets. So you take that and keep the bananas there until they cook through, and you just turn up the heat so that it cooks faster. The trick of cutting an onion so you don't get it is to just cut through. You have onion-sized cuts that are even. So, of course, half an onion will do. And here's our hot pan. And drizzle olive oil. And grab the onions. And you hear that sizzle. That's when you know you're doing the right thing. So we want to just sweat the onions, sweat them. We're gonna take a little dollop of butter. So we're just gonna grab the butter. Just a small bit because butter creates some flavor. And just how when you saute spinach, we're gonna take that. Put that aside. And we let it collaborate with each other. So we want to just take it to the level where it's about to burn, and what they call in the French terminology is called beurre noisette. So the butter just needs to be brown because it creates a nutty flavor to the mouth. And this is where I can smell that it's getting burnt and brown, and this is where you put the kangkong in. Because we cut it so thin and we shredded it to this level, it shouldn't be very long until it cooks through. Season it with salt. And then you just wait for it to simmer. So now, the next step is to check on our bananas. And I'm going to take you through, after it cools down, through the peeled bananas. You're going to get a piece of ginger, and you know, the ginger here in this country is so strong, so what we want to do is just to grate into the recipe of the kangkong some grated ginger. So maybe up to half a teaspoon will do. So if you'll see, we got ginger, we got the onions, sweating of the onions, and a little bit of the beurre noisette, which is the butter, into this beautiful composition. So What's next is that I've actually peeled some of the bananas that has been cooked. So just put it through. And what it is that I just mash it in. I want first to make the bananas sink through and cook with the flavor of the banana and the kangkong. And we want this rough mash, not like a puree. We don't want any of that. So you just want to put the banana into the pan, and while it's cooking together, flatten it into the pan until it becomes paste. We don't want it so mashed that it tastes like mashed potato. We want to have it still in its coarseness, so there's a bite, but with a flavor, an infusion of the kangkong. And you could smell the flavors that it's there. So we're just going to transfer it to a pan or bowl. Prepare the fish caviar. I'm just going to spray that with a nice component of oil and some of the herbs and marination, and that just marinates it through. So you take a little bit of salt and just quickly marinate, sear it, because this is actually one of the delicacies of this fish. When you get something and that's got a texture like a caviar texture, you want to just cook it and grill it and pan fry it to its natural state. So that's going to get put aside. So we have pintos, and we're going to put it into the bowl and just crumble it in. So you just got that concentration of just a break. Just break it in, slide it into a bowl. And once you get the crumbly, fine texture because pintos is actually made of maize, which is corn grits. And it's got coconut, and it's quite known in the region or in the up north of Cebu. And you want to mix that with some cream cheese. Take the cream cheese, maybe 1.5 cup, and a little bit of sour cream, and you just mix that through. So the next step, and after our break, we're going to show you how we're grilling our tulingan.